Good morning, dear students. I am Dr. Nandita Jain, Associate Professor in English Literature from Government College, Sanganer. Today I will be taking the literary devices in which we will be discussing the figures of speech in detail. The figures of speech in poetry are very essential structure. We have got to know what these figures of speech are and how they function in poems. First of all, we will discuss about simile, metaphor, personification, apostrophe, alliteration, transferred epithet, and onomatopoeia. There is no need to get scared, students. These names may be sounding very high, but once we get to understand the meaning of these figures of speech, these literary devices will help you in understanding the poems that are prescribed in your course. So let me tell you what a figure of speech is. Actually, a figure of speech is a device which helps to enhance the effectiveness of the poet's writing. The poet wants to emphasize what he wants to write through these figures of speech. He makes the language flowery, and by the use of these literary devices, these figures of speech, he wants to stress what he wants to convey to the readers. A figure of speech is a departure or deviation from the ordinary form of expression. It is used to produce a greater effect on the reader or the listener. They are used in poetry to convey the meaning more effectively. I already told you that. Figures of speech are aids to style. A judicious means wise, use of figures of speech makes the language lively and adds to its variety. Figurative language lends extra force and significance to words. Simile, metaphor, personification, apostrophe, alliteration, transferred epithet, and onomatopoeia and repetition. These are some of the figures of speech which I will be taking and discussing in detail, giving you the examples from the poems. First is the simile. Simile. What is a simile? Simile is a figure of speech in which two different things are compared. There is difference in these two things, but the point of comparison is same. Two different things, but they are compared, and there is one point of comparison. And this point of comparison is stated by as, like, and so. I will read what I have written for you. A simile is a figure of speech in which a comparison is made between two objects of different kinds, which have at least one point in common or resemblance. In a simile, words like as, or, so are always used. As, like, and so. These three words will make you understand. At once you will be able to know that this is a simile. There are two essential elements in a simile which I have already told you, but you must remember them as soon as you see the lines in a poem. A. Two totally different objects are compared. I told you already. B. There must be a point of resemblance between these two totally distinct objects. C. As, like, and so are always used in a simile. So these are the words of comparison that show the point of similarity between the two distinct objects. Now I will show you through the example like Anisha is as beautiful as a fairy. Two objects are there. Anisha is there and a fairy is there. So, what is common between Anisha and the fairy? The beauty. And how is it stated? It is stated through as. Anisha is as beautiful as a fairy. Second example, the younger brother is as good as gold. So, which are the two objects? First, brother, and second object is gold. So, brother and gold. These two objects have what thing in common? Good. Younger brother is as good as gold. Now, brother and gold, these are two different things totally. But what is common between them is goodness. So, the younger brother is as good as gold. Third one, he looks as cheerful as a rose. So, the first object is he and the second object is rose. He and rose, the person and rose. And what is the point of resemblance between them? Cheerfulness. So the person looks as cheerful as a rose. He roared like a lion. So there is a person who is roaring like a lion. What is point of resemblance? Roaring. Two things are there. He, the person, and lion. So what is the point of what is the thing which is common between them is roaring. The person is roaring as the lion roars. He walked about as proud as a peacock. So here is this person, this man, and the comparison is with peacock. Both are different things, man and a bird. So what is the point of comparison between them is proud. He is walking as a peacock walks. He walked about, no, the point of common thing is walked. He walked about as proud as a peacock. So here again there is a similarity. This is the simile. One example I have taken from one of the poems. The winds that will be howling at all hours and are up gathered now like sleeping flowers. So winds are compared to sleeping flowers, like sleeping flowers. The winds that will be howling, winds are howling at all hours and are up gathered. Now the winds have gathered up like the flowers that are sleeping. So this is the way we will come to know how a simile works. The winds are compared to sleeping flowers. You will have to write in your explanations when a simile comes in any of the poems. That is why I am taking the figures of speech in detail. Another 3 examples I have taken from your poems. One is Ode to the West Wind, which is prescribed in second year. The World is Too Much With Us is prescribed, and To Autumn by John Keats is prescribed. Now please understand, students, O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn's being, thou from whose unseen presence the leaves dead are driven like ghosts from an enchanter fleeing. Now when we will start Ode to the West Wind, here the west wind is seen a person, and the leaves of the west wind, the leaves dead, the leaves of the tree are driven like ghosts. Can you see, students? Can you hear? The leaves dead are driven like ghosts from an enchanter fleeing. So the dead leaves are compared to ghosts, and they are driven like ghosts by a magician. Enchanter fleeing means a magician makes them drive away. So when we come to the Ode to the West Wind, I will be able to explain to you easily what a simile is. Next is the poem The World is Too Much by William Wordsworth. The winds that will be howling at all hours and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. This we have already discussed. And then to autumn, and sometimes like a gleaner, thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook. Here, autumn is seen as a lady, and here she is compared like, we come to know by seeing the word like, she is compared with a gleaner. Gleaner is the one who sieves the corn, and she is like a gleaner. Thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook. So here autumn is compared to a gleaner. This is the simile, and sometimes like a gleaner. So now simile is over. We will take another figure of speech which is very important, and it is metaphor. Metaphor is another important figure of speech which is also a comparison, and the difference between a simile and metaphor is that a metaphor is an implied comparison. There is no as or like or so in a metaphor. Example, if you take camel is the ship of the desert, you imply that camel, you don't say camel is like the ship of the desert. No, camel is the ship of the desert. You think that camel is the ship of the desert. Or like life is a dream. The news was dagger to his heart. You could have said the news was like dagger to his heart. No, we will say the news was dagger to his heart. He was a lion in the fight. Now let me read out what I wrote for you. Metaphor is a figure of speech in which there is a comparison of one thing, that is an object, with another without the words like or as. The resemblance is implied. It takes for granted as if two things were one. Got it? Again I will tell you, the camel is the ship of the desert. It takes for granted that camel is the ship of the desert. Next, third one is personification. Personification को हिंदी में हम मानवीयकरण भी कहते हैं. Just for example, any inanimate thing or a non-living thing, कोई भी निर्जीव वस्तु जैसे है, उसको हम मानव की तरह देखने लग जाते हैं, उसको हम मानव की क्वालिटीज़ दे देते हैं, तो उसमें मानवीयकरण की डायमेंशंस आ जाती हैं. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सी, this is a figure of speech in which inanimate objects means निर्जीव वस्तुएं, or non-living things are given human dimensions. Inanimate objects and abstract notions means अमूर्त विचार, are spoken of as having life and intelligence. Example, laughter. Now laughter is just an abstract notion. We have seen it, we started seeing it as a person. So we are giving it human qualities. Laughter holding both her sides. And laughter is seen as a lady. How do we come to know that she is seen as a lady? The word her. We designate the word, with the word her we give her the qualities of a lady. Laughter holding both her sides. You start imagining as if laughter is a lady and she is holding both her sides. So this is the way we have personified laughter. We have given human qualities to laughter. Death lays his icy hands on kings. Death is seen as a person, which is here, death is his. That means death is here, he is laying his icy, chilled hands on kings. Death is seen as a human being, as a person who is laying icy hands on kings. Now, death is not a human being, but the poet has given the human qualities to death, to this concept. The moon veiled her face. Now, the poet sees moon as a lady who has put a veil, ghungat, who has put a veil on her face. Her face means lady, so moon is seen as a lady. So again, this is a personification. Opportunity knocks at the door but once. So opportunity is seen as a person who is knocking at the door. As a human being, opportunity is knocking. So this is very simple, students. The first figure of speech was simile. The second was metaphor. The third is personification. For your help, I have taken 3 examples from Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, which is in second year arts course in English literature. Now, there are 32 stanzas in Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, but I have picked up the personifications, the examples of personifications from stanza 8, stanza 11 and stanza 13. First one is, let not ambition mock their useful toil, nor grandeur here with a disdainful smile. Here ambition has been seen as a person. Let not ambition mock their useful toil. Ambition is seen as mocking, making fun of the useful labor of poor people. Nor grandeur here with a disdainful smile. What is grandeur? Grandeur is people who are full of wealth. Here grandeur is again seen as a person, and who is nor grandeur here with a disdainful smile. Here as if grandeur is smiling with a disdainful smile, means mocking smile, as if making fun of the poor people. So the poet says, let not ambition mock the hard labor of the poor, and let not grandeur smile mockingly at the poor people. So this is the way personification makes these lines very, very effective. 11th stanza, second one is, can honor's voice provoke the silent dust, or flattery soothe the dull cold ear of death? Again, honor is personified and flattery too is personified. Flattery, can honor's voice provoke the silent dust? Honor's voice cannot provoke the people who are already dead. Or flattery soothe the dull cold ear of death. Even flattery cannot soothe the cold ear of death. Death is also again personified. But knowledge to their eyes, her ample page, rich with the spoils of time, did never roll. Knowledge is again personified here. To their eyes, her ample page. Knowledge did not show her ample pages to these poor people. This is in Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard. I will take in detail when I go through the poem and we discuss the Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard by Thomas Gray. Now, I will stop here. In the next part, I will be taking your apostrophe, alliteration, repetition, and onomatopoeia. Thank you.